Hello everyone and welcome to my COM 434 midterm exam. When looking at our agenda for today, we'll be going through scenario 1, which is a singular case, as well as two different cases within scenario 2. So without further ado, we'll be answering our first question within scenario 1, part A, which is why the deal failed on April 13th. So as per the case, the deal was lost for the following reasons. Firstly, we can see that the company did not ask the right questions to Martin Tyleel. As shown on the case, Martine Tyleel was told about the technicalities of the product. However, she was asking about the pricing, but was told that she would be followed up with a price very shortly. This was a mistake because when you're speaking to a purchasing manager, they need to understand the financials and pricing of the product before even considering moving forward. Thus, she did not get any useful information about the pricing. As Tyleel did not care too much about the technical features, Lily failed to warm up this call and cater it towards the needs of Tyleel. Tyleel was clearly interested in learning more about the price, as this is one of the main responsibilities of her role. For scenario 1, part B, we'll uncover 4 major insights that should have been known and uncovered before progressing far into this deal. So the first thing is that what Lily should have done was ask the purchasing manager her budget prior to doing anything or even moving forward. Since the purchasing manager was interested in the product, asking this is important as it saves Lily lots of time and it prevents her from wasting resources and an opportunity that will not work. In addition, Lily should have asked the purchasing manager at the stage of the buying process. This helps with understanding the purchasing manager's budget and other competitors that she's worked with in the past. This would have signaled Lily in a subtle yet effective way whether she should continue to pursue this client and put resources into it. Next, this step would entail Lily finding out more information on the client. She should have hired a business development representative to do research on the company. That way, Lily could know if the product works well with Calories' needs. This would save her lots of time and resources to see if this is worth pursuing or not. On the 7th and 8th of April, after Lily spoke to the CTO, the competitor's information is known. She knows that Hofstede is positioned as a low cost and less premium product, so that means that she should cut her losses and stop pursuing the opportunity. Lily should have known the key decision makers as well within this process. Had Lily asked Dr. Miller the people involved in this decision-making process, she would have known that key individuals involved have different perspectives and says in the decision. In this situation, had she known this, Lily could have had the time to speak with them and provide the necessary information that could sway them towards purchasing the service. For example, had she spoken to the individuals within the technicality team that were interested in the software features aside from the purchasing manager, this would be a beneficial impact within sales action. However, she spoke to a purchasing manager who is mostly interested in the price of the product so they can decide on whether the product is in their budget or not. As Lily did not identify a potential budget from them, the issue at hand was that we later saw that Calories' competitor, Hofstede, was in the front line for the deal. She could not have realized this without knowing the budget prior to this. This led to the organization wanting to choose Hofstede after many hours of wasted resources, time, and capital spent in an opportunity that would have not gone anywhere anyways. This could have been prevented by asking questions like, why are they attracted to Hofstede's deal over ours? What is their pricing differences? These questions would then help Lily understand that the company is out of their budget and that the opportunity should not be pursued. For scenario 1, part C, we'll be looking at 4 major selling actions taken by Lily in this process. So the first being taken was that this was the seller presentation at the time when the purchasing manager was contacted on April 13th. During this time, Lily spoke to Martine Tyleel. This was the first stage of the selling process as Lily contacted Martine Tyleel. When she contacted Tyleel was interested in understanding the pricing side of the service as she is a purchasing manager and her role is to understand the financial details like the return on the investment of this service. The negative of this action taken was that Lily did not emphasize the needs for Tyleel. Therefore, Lily failed to coincide with the needs of the organization and the purchasing manager. In addition, Lily was given an opportunity to ask for a budget. Since she did not, this created a negative impact, which led to a missed opportunity. The next is the negotiation action. Dr. Miller visited the team on the 15th of April and was already given an explanation on the product. The negative impact here was that the activity reduced productivity because the technical director did not have the info that was necessary to complete this. Therefore, the client was not able to be helped, which creates a negative impact. After that, in another negotiation stage, another seller action was a change quotation. This falls under a price and positioning failure. During this stage, the purchasing manager did not understand why Murham couldn't simply just meet the same price as the competitions. Therefore, Martin Tailil's needs were not met, were not able to be matched with the company's pricing position, which was a product of high premium and quality. In addition, had Lilly had let the client know that their products were able to help the client in the future, which was another failure, as she did not align with the client's needs in this activity. Lastly, on May 5th, Lilly changed the price quote again to 1.2 million since she was told that 1.35 million was out of Tailil's price range. Prior to this, the price was already at 1.4 million, which was their original price, and that was again a $15,000 decrease in price close to the price position. However, as Martin Tailil said that it was too high, this should have been a sign for Lilly to stop putting resources in this opportunity. Hence, she continued the buying process and wasted more time and money and did not provide useful information to the client. Instead, on the 25th of April, Lilly tried to explain with technical features why she simply couldn't just match the price of the competition, and this simply did not work. For scenario 2, case 1, we'll be looking at providing the right sales strategy for the company in the case. So starting with revenue conditions, we can see that the company did $14 million in revenue in June 2020, and their expectations are to quadruple revenues within 6 years, which is 4 times 14, which is $56 million in 6 years. Regarding the company information, the company is Miller, a provider of cloud-based enterprise resource planning software and services. It's based in Canada, and it provides ERP to Canadian small to mid-sized organizations in the manufacturing and services industries. It's segmented as a regional company across Western Ontario and Eastern Quebec. Its competitors are SAP and NetSuite, which are both multinational companies. The challenges that it's currently facing are difficulties to integrate such softwares from a SaaS perspective. Small niche companies are also finding it easier to just hire Miller to do 100-page RFPs, for example, over the service for cost savings. Continuing with scenario 2, case 1, we'll be continuing with our sales strategy analysis framework. When looking at this framework, we'll start by looking at our local sized segment, which shows the needs for the manual process at a company at this size. For a more local company with less needs, hiring Miller to do 100 pages for an RFP and payrolls issued is much more convenient than purchasing the software. This shows that smaller companies are typically doing a more manual process at this time. Now, if we look at our problem identification, companies at this side are typically annoyed by consecutive errors in their payroll and consecutive numbers that need to be altered at times. Again, this is typically because they're doing a manual process versus an automated service that helps them with this. There are also times where the clients feel annoyed by the timeline and the time it takes to receive such payrolls. Again, this could also be helped with by providing a software that can assist them with this process. The people involved in this decision-making process are usually 1 to 2 people, which are typically the founders. People in this, the founders in these companies are typically attracted to this because there's low costs and fees. And there's also attractiveness because the costs are much lower than hiring employees to do the work itself. The software is also very simple for smaller companies, making the process much easier than doing things manually. Looking at things from a relationship perspective for transactional relationship needs, smaller companies with smaller spaces could actually receive assistance from Miller's software within their buying process, as well as managing their internal payrolls. Now, when looking at a regional size company, regional companies in the space are usually a lot larger, and have larger payrolls and revenues, and therefore they require much more automation and software to cover things like manufacturing, automation, and financing, inventory, and other enterprise planning softwares. Typically, these companies who are doing this tend to utilize certain softwares, and the current problems that they face from a manual perspective is that typically what happens is the company has glitches and software issues that take time away from meeting their deadlines and transmitting the correct information to the clients and employees, and this at times takes away from their resources. The people typically in charge of this are usually accounting controllers, human resources, and finance teams. The attractiveness is that the software works well for middle to large companies with many different sectors. This software can typically handle many different payrolls accounts, which provides efficiency and limited human errors. From a solutions perspective, negotiations on pricing material and the fact that it improves efficiency and allows for more systemized improvement over time. Now, when looking at a national company within this segment, like regional, but much larger, they typically cover multiple sectors and have multiple business subsidiaries. Because of this, these companies typically have multiple software technologies across the individual sector and subsidiary, and they are most likely to require on-site IT manual coverage to manage them. Another issue is that their current enterprise planning software, again, like regional companies, have glitches, and they also have an inability to manage the entire company holistically without error. So their current software works best on a singular condition, but struggles holistically oversetting the entire business and entire subsidiaries of the company. And looking at the decision makers in this process, typically they're the board of the directors, chairman of the company, vice presidents, chief technology officers, chief information officers, and the presidents. The attractiveness within the software is that the enterprise planning software can assist them with looking at the company holistically with limited manual coverage to manage it. The software is also efficient and reliable for companies at this size. For partnerships, enhanced sales teams that will also align with the buying process. The current software sales developers would have an expanded network of teams within the parent company, TCO. For scenario 2, case 2, our final case, we'll be looking at this from a sales management analysis. Starting off, we'll look at our processes, which are capability to do, RST, motivation to do, which correlates with compensation, and enablement, enable to do, which is structure and operations. Starting off, we'll look at our sales management challenges. The current challenge is meeting the revenue target of $80 million. This is a challenge, even though it's a 33% increase year over year. This could be possible, but it's hard due to the competition in the space. It is noted in the case that one of the domestic competitors is struggling, while the 4 major domestic competitors have been experiencing industry-leading double-digit revenue growth year over year. On top of that, there are 3 international competitors entering the US this year. Despite this, it does seem possible as 4 of the major domestic competitors have been experiencing double-digit revenue growth. The challenge is that, as noted from the case, current market conditions are resulting in new businesses taking longer to go from interest to order, and buyers are becoming far more demanding as their budgets are cut in the COVID era. These buyers are expecting concessions and heavy discounts. Some of the challenges that can impact the revenue guidance include the domestic and new international competition entering the US. Customers are grouping together to buy in cooperatives to bring the prices down. And the CFO is recommending to let go 3 to 4 hires due to the budget constraints. This is also a challenge and a double-edged sword because they're already struggling to meet revenue guidances due to increased competition. The next is expectations for the sales team have increased, but incentives to meet them have not. And lastly, implementing a sales strategy that has competitive advantage in the industry is difficult because it's a competitive industry. From a need-finding perspective, based on these challenges, a sales management approach would be to solidify changes with a new approach. This would implement strategies to necessary needs, which would be the following. This would help the sales needs for our target market. The restructuring strategy will be done through the 3 phases of sales strategy: transactional, solutions, and partnerships. Based on the organization, we should break down the needs based on the 3 phases of sales strategy. Domestic, which is our transactional relationships, are needed for small local companies. Regional, installed solutions for medium-sized companies. And national, we need greater partnerships. For instance, this could be correlated with international partnerships. Looking at our conclusion and recommendation, based on the case, we have solidified that the following changes need to be made and are related to compensation, structure and operations, training, and developing an ability to compete with international competition. The first would be competition. The first is compensation. The current compensations given to the sales representatives are low. Based on what the CFO has mentioned, an increase in salary is not possible. A possible solution for this issue is to change the structure of the bonus from a year-end to either quarterly or a half-year bonus. This can help with distributing the bonuses in installments versus at the end of the year. In addition, it can be feasible because it can also assist with keeping them on track. Based on the information, we can believe that it would be best suited that are feasible alterations to the salaries for the new sales development representatives. Second, we can look at our structure and operation changes. Given the current struggles for the new hires meeting quotas, a better strategy would be to assist them by providing secular sales teams that focus on definite clients rather than having them all focus on the entire industry holistically. This would help the new hires with focusing on their skill sets and enabling them with more selling time. Thirdly, we should enhance the skills and training for new hires by providing for new sales development representatives. As noted in the case, sales teams have not been able to meet such quotas. In addition, maintaining talent will be a challenge due to low salaries and competition in this space. A solution would be to provide on-site training development programs for new hires and assist them on the sectors that they work with. Rather than providing development programs that assist new hires holistically, they should assist them on key areas like the sectors they're working with. For example, from the course, this would correlate with quote unquote, do all of our members of our target market buy the same situation, and assist them providing a unique approach for this. And lastly, the ability to compete with international competitors. Currently, it'll be difficult to compete with the current competition. At this point, there are factors in addition to the competition that make it difficult to compete. A quotation from the case shows that, quote, current market conditions are resulting in businesses taking longer to go from interest to order, and buyers are becoming much more depending on their budgets, which are cut in the COVID era. These buyers are expecting concessions and heavy discounts. Lastly, the solution that is done is to invest heavily into training development new sales representatives. This can be done this will help by preventing current employee turnovers as well as helping new hires meet their targets.